Welcome to DC to Be Revolution, helping chiropractic students live big in order to think large. I'm Noah Volz, and today I'm here with Dr. Steve Tullius. Hopefully I pronounced that right. I didn't get a chance to ask you how to pronounce your last name.
Yes.
Oh, perfect. So he's a pediatric and family chiropractor specializing in the care of individuals with neurodevelopmental and behavioral conditions. He also runs a chiropractic patient education company called Chiropractic Is. And Dr. Steve, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. No, it's good to be on, and I'm looking forward to chatting.
Yeah, likewise. I know at least where I'm at Live West, there's a lot of students who are really interested in the kind of this, I wouldn't say it's a new field of neurodevelopmental and behavioral conditions, but it seems relatively new to the straight chiropractic profession. You know, many students are familiar with the terms of disafferentation and they're familiar with the terms of neuroplasticity. But can you talk a little bit about how the adjustment plays a role in the care of children or adults with these disorders?
Yeah, that's a great question, and yeah, it's definitely nothing new. You go back to chiropractic's rich history, and chiropractors used to help individuals with mental health situations. There was chiropractic mental health sanitariums. So chiropractic has always had some role in helping individuals with these and similar situations. And in terms of how the chiropractic adjustment helps, I think the key is going back and looking at our philosophy, because our philosophy, our 33 principles, and even the simple cycle and the complex cycle and special sense cycles all describe why we see what we do. And now these terms of disafferentation model, and neuroplasticity, all these things help describe it more scientifically, but the basis has been there all along, and it really is simple as removing interference to the organism's ability to understand itself and its environment and to respond appropriately. And if that happens early on, if subluxation happens early on, and an individual is put into fight or flight physiology, and they're stuck in that delays development, it changes the course of the brain development and trajectory, and that alters that person's entire experience of the world and their own physical body.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. And I can hear like some of the functional neurology, chiropractic neurology students saying, hey, that's completely oversimplified. Like, there's so much more to it. How would you address their, concerns?
I would address their concerns by asking what is the need that they have? Is that need to complicate it their own, or does it somehow change outcomes? Because I can tell you, based upon practicing in a subluxation centered model, that the outcomes we achieve are outrageous. They're seemingly miraculous, unless someone understands what we're doing and the science behind it. What I see with the functional neurology movement, I see this one, they're trying to educatedly manipulate a system in ways that they can't fully understand. No one can fully understand the brain. It's impossible, because the brain and consciousness is a product of, consciousness and the mind is a product of the brain, and a product of this innate intelligence which created it in the first place. And for us to constantly try to put our educated intelligence in front of or superior to that innate intelligence, you're always going to, one, be humbled by it, because that innate intelligence is far superior than our educated minds. And two, you run the risk of interfering with the process. And that's a very real situation. In chiropractic, if you go back and you understand our philosophy, you'll understand that putting too much force into a system is actually damaging to it. And so trying to put too much in, trying to do too much, can actually hinder the patient and their progress. So I think it's a dangerous process and getting into the practice of medicine when we're educatedly trying to manipulate the brain and hemispheres based upon what we educatedly think this individual needs to have to stimulate a certain area. That becomes the practice of medicine. It becomes the practice of other disciplines and not chiropractic.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I think I just want to reiterate, how you said that the outcomes speak for themselves. And so, you're doing the right thing when you're getting the right outcomes. And, in addition to that, I think it's so important for us to recognize that, we are part of this huge mystery, and there's so much that we don't understand and will probably never understand. And those of us who believe that maybe we can explain all of that stuff, eventually we'll be proven wrong. And so to embrace that mystery and embrace the things that we don't understand and trust the process of life, I think is so important. And I know that you've kind of infused that into a lot of the educational materials that you provide as part of Chiropractic Is and many of the other different presentations that you create. And I wondered if you could walk students through how you created these different presentation materials, because I know many of us want to present, we want to educate, and I just feel like you've been so successful at that. How, what guidelines would you provide?
Yeah, so it's interesting you ask this question. I'm actually going to be producing a webinar on the science of patient education. Which will outline the various steps. Okay, I'm extremely analytical. I look at, I want someone to understand something. They're over here, and I want them to be over here. How do I get them from point A to point C? And each of those steps should be airtight. Should be logical. There should be no ability to attack or misunderstand the points. And then by the time you've gotten here, then you ask them the questions that you want them to have the answer to, and they should be able to answer the question themselves. And by that point, if you've gone through it in that process, then they own the idea. It's now become part of their belief system. Now they're going to be attacked constantly from the outside with this outside-in message. So in practice, you need to come back to those core points and core messages and have those be your primary messages throughout your practice. So often in practice, we have so many mixed messages about what we do, who we are, what we offer. And it's no wonder the public has really no idea of what we do or what we offer or what our value is, because we have diluted the message and the product. And so in my practice, I have nothing on my walls except for chiropractic. I have nothing in my office besides chiropractic. I want people to understand what a subluxation is, how detrimental it is, and the potential of living a subluxation-free life, what that optimal potential looks like. And while I understand the profession as a whole may choose to practice differently, at least in my office, I want that to be the primary message, so that when they refer people into me too, that they know, that's what they're going to get. So if people want to get onto this, to see this webinar or this, they can go to my website, chiropracticis.com, and just look for it from there, or on my Facebook page too.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's like the nitty gritty nuts and bolts skills that we as students really need, and I love that process that you kind of walked us through, of like step by step building on the knowledge and giving people the ability to answer those questions. And, I noticed when I was doing some research on you that at one point, and maybe even still, you were part of this movement of chiropractic quality and integrity, this movement for chiropractic quality and integrity. And I feel like what you just spoke to about, having not having a diluted message, having a very clear message, not giving a mixed message, fits into that. What is your kind of vision politically, culturally, socially, educationally for how to increase the quality, integrity of chiropractic in this country and across the world?
Well, first off, I would say we need to realize within our country, in the United States, that we are very subluxated. We're subluxated as a country. We're subluxated, and we're very subluxated as a profession. And if we look at it philosophically, then in order for subluxation to be corrected, the force needs to come from the outside, right? This adjustic force. And so I would say that the adjustic force needs to happen from the outside, and it's already happening with quality chiropractic education coming in the form of New Zealand College of Chiropractic. There's a new college in Adelaide that's going to be coming up that is using they were gifted the curriculum from New Zealand College of Chiropractic. We do have Sherman here. We have Life West. We have Life. We have some other great colleges here as well. However, we have this U.S.-centric mindset. In fact, a lot of the places throughout the world obviously aren't very appreciative of that. And we need to see this. We need to have a vision big enough and large enough to realize that there's 7 billion people on this planet and only 300 something million here, and we need to see it from a global perspective. So not trying to necessarily even change chiropractic here. That's not my main vision and mission. My vision is going outside of the U.S. and expanding chiropractic globally. Getting into countries that don't have chiropractic yet. That's why I'm a member of the International Federation of Chiropractors and Organizations, because we have a global vision beyond just the U.S. and see it for that. Here in the United States, our leaders and ourselves in practice, we need to ask ourselves the question: is this thing bigger than me? I think if we fully grasp the big idea of chiropractic, that removing interference to the mental impulse and that expression of life in the body, and what that does, and the restoration of normal cycles, and how that transforms lives physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually in so many ways, then we're not going to do other things, because when we're doing other things, we're harming that message. We're harming the ability, and even in our own practices, to attract people that want that. And we're hampering that ability to achieve that big idea. So when we look to our leaders, if our leaders are mixed and they're not giving our students and our doctors a clear message and model to follow, then we have to question if they have the big idea, if they really own that and have a vision bigger than themselves and bigger than even a 20-year, 50, 100-year vision. We're living in a reactive state right now, even still, and treating things allopathically. We're reacting to all sorts of influences. We're reacting to third-party reimbursement. We're reacting to the broad-scoped, mixed chiropractor who wants to bring in drugs. We're reacting to all these things instead of we're reacting to medicine. We want to attack medicine and attack vaccines and attack all these things instead of positioning chiropractic for the public in a logical, sensible way that they can consume and utilize, because it has such tremendous value. And until we start to do that, the public will be mixed. And that's why I created the company that I did, to create the funds and the resources to begin to invest in that and start to make the adjustic force at a microcosm level in various communities throughout the country and world, and start to influence this with myself and other like-minded colleagues who share the same vision.
Yeah, I thank you for the work that you've been doing and for presenting it in that way because I experienced that as a student. I feel like as a student and as a profession, I feel like we're constantly reacting. We're very reactive, like, oh this. And I really love what you said about having this 10, 20, 50, 100-year vision of chiropractic's place in the world, and then also, you know, as a force of good and improving wellness in the world. And so, you know, as a student, I know that I sometimes feel at odds with kind of the curriculum and what I'm being taught, and wondering how this is really like moving me in that direction. What advice would you give to students in my shoes who are kind of feel like they're struggling through school, learning to become a doctor when they really want to become a chiropractor?
Yeah, so I would say realize that you have to take it upon yourselves to study this thing called chiropractic, and that the education that you're receiving has been forced upon you via the chiropractic cartel, the CCE and the FCLB, and all these individuals who wrestled control of our profession's educational system back in the 70s, and have been forcing a medical mixed model on the profession and on the students for years. So if you have if you truly desire to practice chiropractic, and you have integrity, then you'll go to the source. You'll understand, okay, what is chiropractic? You'll have enough willpower and strength to question what you believe. And so I would encourage you now to question everything that you believe chiropractic to be. It's the only way you can truly understand what it is if you question what it is, you know, question everything you currently believe it to be, and then get to the roots, get to the source. Most chiropractors, most chiropractic students have not read R.W. Stevenson's chiropractic textbook. You know, while some of the material is dated, very little of it, the majority is very applicable and relevant, and will aid your communication, your understanding of what chiropractic is. You know, study it with a group of other students and study the material. Simon Sinzon has a fantastic resource, the Institute Chiropractic. It's only $18.95 a month to be a part of this and get some of the best content in terms of the history, and politics and philosophy of chiropractic. So in order to understand your chosen profession, you should have a strong desire to go out and truly understand it and have an attitude of becoming a master. You know, anyone could become a doctor, anyone can get a degree, but not everyone can become a master, and only because of the mindset. You know, it's all about your mindset. So what do you want to be when you get out? Do you just want to get by? Do you just want to pay your bills? Do you just want to make lots of money so you can buy a new house and new car that you can show your friends on Facebook? Or do you truly want to make a difference and impact in this world? And some people will answer the first, and you know, that's fine. That's what they want. Those aren't the people that I'm looking for to transform the world with us, which we know chiropractic can do if it were being fully utilized. We need, you know, if you feel called to serve the humanity through chiropractic, then you have to become a master and serve it in your community, and get so successful that you can branch out and start multiple clinics, and then branch out and serve politically, and give your time, your money, your resources back into chiropractic for this bigger vision.
Yeah, completely. And this is something I hear a lot, you know, in all these interviews that I do, is focusing on the philosophy, getting back to the roots, getting back to the foundational elements from which chiropractic sprung. And I completely believe that. And yet, you know, being in school and being required to learn very specific things, and only having so much time and energy, you know, and having relationships outside of school, it becomes really difficult to prioritize in that way. It's and so I'm so glad you mentioned the mindset of just like having this really clear mindset of wanting to make an impact, wanting to make a difference. And I've always heard this in terms of medical school, like people go wanting to make an impact and then they kind of get brainwashed. But I even feel like there's some of that in chiropractic school, even in the vitalistic philosophy-based schools. It's really hard to maintain that mindset of curiosity and passion as you're going through the rigors of school. Any advice, any ideas on how to work with that?
Surrounding yourself with individuals that emanate what you want to achieve. You are the collection of your friends and associates, and what you choose to put into and surround yourself with. So look at your space. What's in your space. Do you have green books? You don't have to even be reading them yet, but are they around? Do you have friends who share the same values, or are they are they mixed? So do you have mentors? Finding mentors who are truly doing what you want, and evaluating that, looking at that. What are their practices? They may say one thing, but are they doing it? Are they doing something completely different in their practice? And you wanted to evaluate all those relationships. I know that time is that you're time starved, but making sure you're getting to seminars. That's one thing I wish I had done that I didn't do. I didn't seek out other seminars, and so I wish I had done that. I wish I had gone to things available to me back then that are available to students. So when visiting chiropractors come to the school, that you research and see if this is something that you want to learn more about, going and being involved with that too. So I know it's difficult. I was there. I learned chiropractic after chiropractic college. I know that a lot of you have to do that, which is a shame. It's a shame that that's what it's become. However, you got to figure out a way to get a dual track. Get this chiropractic education either at the same time, or realize it's going to come afterwards. But making sure that you're clear on your objectives. What do you want? And you're going to be getting all this other stuff, filling your head, but you got to be clear that stuff, much of it is not applicable. So you got to keep yourself grounded, with all those things I mentioned, and then with chiropractors in the field, making sure you're going to their office and getting checked and just chatting and staying connected that way. Because right now you're going through a process to get a piece of paper so you can practice chiropractic. So just realize you got to go through it. That's part of life. You got to check off the different boxes, and then have that big vision of what you want, and just developing the vision of what that practice looks like in the future.
Yeah, I know there's going to be a lot of students, maybe even chiropractors, who were really inspired by this interview and are going to, want some maybe mentorship, some inspiration, want to reach out to you and continue to develop their big vision through your expertise. What's the best way for people to learn more about you and continue this process they're going through?
Yeah, I'd love to help continue people's evolving in chiropractic, and so finding me on Facebook, Steve Tullius, on Facebook, just in general. In terms of getting more information, I have lots of old blogs I've written over the years. There's tons of resources. There's free patient education manuals and resources on my website, Chiropractic Is, chiropracticis.com. They can go to and get on our newsletter list, so they can get alerted about the different things that I'm coming out with, like this science of patient education. Information, things like that. So there's lots of different things that people can connect with me on, but those are the two primary ways.
That's perfect. And I'll put links to those in the bottom of the show notes. So those are really easily accessible for people. This has been a production of DC to Be Revolution, helping chiropractic students think big in order to live large. I'm Noah Volz. Dr. Steve Tullius, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Noah, for having me. I appreciate what you're doing and to educate other students and chiropractors. So good luck and great job.
Yeah, thank you so much. And if you enjoyed this video, let us know, like the video, leave some comments in the comment section below for either me or Dr. Steve, and please subscribe to the channel.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, Noah.
Thank you.